Competition collaboration paradox involves facilitating a certain degree of openness with other teams and other departments or other organizations, but still protecting your team's competitive advantage at the same time. We live in an era that worships collaboration. And I'm not going to say that's not important, but in environments where a competitive edge is required to survive and teams fight for scarce resources, collaboration has to have certain boundaries. Otherwise, it destroys the advantages that you have and can end up destroying any ideas you have. And so leaders have to navigate the tension between opening their teams up to new ideas and assistance and investment from other organizations, other teams, without exposing their competitive edge too soon. How do you do that, you might ask? You have to collaborate enough to grow and compete enough to survive. Going back to my Arctic warfare project and the SEAL teams, where I was setting up this big proposal for our training in Alaska, from one perspective, it was world class development. We were hiring a group of snow experts out of Colorado to come train us in an austere, isolated, and desolate environment up on an Alaskan glacier where a lot of things could go wrong, including avalanches, crevasse accidents, falls. The nearest point of care was over 4 hours away. And our preparatory training was very similar in that regard, although we ended up landing on training in Breckenridge, Colorado, because our organization had a precedent of training there. Our instructors knew the area and knew where to train. And it also had the infrastructure being a huge commercial ski town to facilitate the safe training. On the other hand, it was also Breckenridge, which is one of the most popular ski towns in the world. So while we were going or getting ready to go, every platoon in the team was deploying somewhere that they weren't really excited about. And so it would have been really, really easy for everyone to write this training off as what the military calls a boondoggle, which is just a fun trip with little to no value. And obviously, that's not how I saw it because I was super invested in this, although I knew it would be a fun trip in addition to the training value that we were going to get. And so until the idea was developed enough that I could actually sell it, despite the obvious scrutiny that I was going to receive, I had to maintain some degree of secrecy in order to keep our competitive edge and keep pursuing this initiative that we wanted. And then once it was ready for scrutiny, or at least when I thought it was ready for scrutiny, then I could involve the necessary collaboration and outside perspective to move my idea closer to execution. So here's the important takeaway from that example in this paradox. Effective leaders practice a certain degree of selective openness where they know where and when to invite feedback and then when to stay silent on it. They have an understanding that not every problem benefits from collective input all the time. And this is especially critical for innovative teams or teams working on novel proposals while fighting for scarce resources, like mine was. And so, if everything is shared, nothing ends up being proprietary or protected. If nothing is shared, then innovation and good ideas end up dying in isolation. By navigating this paradox well, you're able to stay open enough to learn and evolve and adapt, but still closed enough, long enough, and at the right times to actually end up winning and maintaining your competitive edge.